On this podcast, we'll talk about more than just basketball. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a 2-time NCAA scoring champ and the NCAA Player of the Year. Honors I earned by putting in the work and staying focused on the bigger picture. I had dreams and aspirations of playing in the NBA a long time, but an ACL injury took me on a completely different path. We'll dive deep into real stories, challenges, and triumphs that athletes, coaches, and everyday people experience when chasing their dreams.
Be breeding warriors. Anything you place in front of me, I'll be victorious. Straight about the trenches where it's vicious, but it's glorious. Ready for whatever, never scared. We got the Lord with us in the ghetto, we notorious. Be breeding warriors. Anything you place in front of me, I'll be victorious. Straight about the trenches where it's vicious, but it's glorious. Ready for whatever, never scared. We got the Lord with us in the ghetto, we notorious. This be breeding. My mama had to make a way. I grew up on Section 8, 7 in a 3-bedroom apartment. Don't test your faith. Close my eyes.
A Starstruck podcast. Always a great time. Be with a great guest like the one I have in today. Obviously, Mrs. Tamika Catchings, 10-time All-Star, 5-time Defensive Player of the Year, all-time leader in steals, 4-time Olympic gold medalist, WNBA Rookie of the Year, NCAA champion under the late, great Pat Summitt, 4-time All-American, University of Tennessee, Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, the Naismith Hall of Fame inductee, Tamika Catchings.
Thank you.
I am so honored and happy for you to be here, and words can't express how I feel about you being on this show, because everyone that knows me knows that you're a big part of me and what we do. So I want to make sure that I gave you your flowers up front.
Well, I appreciate it. And as I said, when I walked in, I'm like, man, this is legit. You talked about this a couple years ago, and wanting to have the show and wanting to have the podcast and really talking life stuff that we deal with as athletes while we're in it and even beyond. So I'm happy to be here and always thankful to be able to support you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Catch. So just talking about that, that's a good place to start. Let's start from our beginning, like how we met. Like every time I hear you talk about how we met, then you'll hear me tell somebody how we met. It's always funny just to hear both perspectives. Yeah. So give me your short version of it.
Short version. I don't know if there is a short version,
Right.
but I tore my ACL my senior year in college at the University of Tennessee on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I remember when the WNBA came my freshman year in college. So all throughout college, I'm like, okay, I'm going to play 4 years. And then they got 4 years to get it right. Because by the time my senior year comes, I'm coming in and we wrecking shop. Like, that was my mentality. And that game, we were playing Mississippi State at Tennessee, came in half court, did an in and out, dribbled all the way down and jump stopped right underneath the basket. And then I just remember waking up and I was looking up at the ceiling. I'm like, how did I get down here? Go into the locker room, end up finding out, tore my ACL. So in that moment, I'm like, man, my dream of going to the WNBA, like everything had just gone. Went through rehab, all of that. Going through rehab, had surgery, all that stuff. Ended up getting picked number 3 in the WNBA draft to come here to Indiana.
This is after your ACL?
This is after the ACL tear. So get drafted to Indiana, and I remember just asking Kelly Koskoff, our general manager at the time, and now back as the GM for the team, or as the president for the team, if I could stay in Knoxville and train. And she was like, no, I need you to come. You need to meet your new family, come meet your new fans, come to a new city. And I was devastated because I wanted to stay in Knoxville. End up coming up here to Indianapolis. And that's when I met you. Met Julie Plank. Shelly P. was our coach. First year we had Nell. And, man, like even to think about like going all the way back.
Right.
It's crazy.
I'm telling you.
But we were in the gym, and what I remember is like our relationship grew more every single day. Like the consistency of getting up, my routine, making sure we were in the gym. You know, remember we started with being able to run 1 minute, then run 2 minutes, then run 3 minutes, 4 or 5, all the way to a 40-minute game, like up and down. But it was over the course of time.
Yes.
And every single day digging in, that's how it started. And I think anytime you go through an injury and you have, like the three of us were married at the hip, you, Julie, and I,
Yes.
every single day.
Yes.
And now, like here we are, that was 2001.
That's 2001.
Here we are in 2025. And, oh gosh, that was so long ago, but it feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think about like those long, gruesome days, like every story that I tell with any athlete that I'm with now, coaching, you know, training, it's always the Tamika Catchings story. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not just because, you know, we were together like that. I seen a sense of, I don't know, just resilience, like something that I had never seen. So now I can kind of go with my story. So I remember seeing you in the National Institute of Fitness and Sports, NIFS.
NIFS,
Yeah, you remember that? On
Yeah.
IUPUI's campus.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, this is not really when we met, but you know, we kind of knew each other and were acquainted by then. But when we really got serious, and I don't even know if you remember this, but you came over to the gym and you were just like, you were watching me work out. I was just, you know, working out by myself, and you said, "Hey Knox, is there any way that I can jump in with you when I get a chance to come over here?" Because obviously you had Banker's Life, so it was like, was it Bankers at that time?
Banker.
Yeah.
And then we had Greg Moore. Greg Moore was my trainer.
Absolutely. So you just, you know, were asking, and I'm like, man, I was like, that's cool for somebody to actually feel that confident. Like, I just want to go and get, because at the time, and this is no disrespect at all, but like women's sports wasn't where it is now. So I didn't really recognize it at that level. I definitely knew your name and, you know, the three Mikas at Tennessee, but I didn't know the art. Yeah. The art of kind of getting in the gym with young ladies. You know what I mean? It was different. And it wasn't, again, it wasn't anything derogatory. It just wasn't happening at that rate. So I'm like, yeah, man, I just love that about the fact that she want to come and hoop.
Yeah.
And I never forget, I threw you the ball, and you stepped on the floor. You might not even remember this story. You stepped on the floor and just started draining jumpers. And again, I'm just like, I hadn't been around that before. I just really hadn't. So, and I'm playing. I was at a high level playing overseas and doing my thing. So, I just remember being married at the hip then, because I fell in love with the work ethic and the fact that you were, I don't know, just solid on the floor like that. So we shot around and, you know, kind of messed around a little bit and came back the next day. We ended up going down to Bankers eventually,
And
and it just never stopped.
Well, Greg is the reason that I was out there.
At NIFS?
At NIF.
Okay. Shout out Greg Moore.
Yeah.
I
Literally,
remember.
he was like, okay, I don't know what was going on, but he was like, all right, we got to find somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe he was working there at the time. I don't remember, but there was a reason why we kept coming there.
Yeah.
And I would watch y'all. I would watch you. Chuck Person would be up there, like the guys running up, and I'm like, man, like it sucks to be on the sideline.
Yeah.
And then the first year, if you remember the first summer, we were horrible.
I do remember
So like,
that.
having to sit courtside and know that you can't get in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got cleared in July. I do remember this. So I tore my ACL in February. Had surgery, went to the rehab, all of that, finally got cleared. At that point in time, the Houston Comets were still there. So Kelly Krosgoff was like, okay, you finally got cleared to go straight. I want you to start traveling with the team. And I was so excited. So my first road trip with the team, we head to Houston. Right? All right. We go straight to practice from the plane. So we're still commercial. They just changed that last year. So we fly, we go straight to practice, get in the gym, everybody getting ready. I'm ready. I start running straight away, and I feel another pop in my knee. So now I'm like, all right, like what happened?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find Jenny Moshak, or no, not Jenny, Holly Heitzman, our
Holly,
trainer there.
yes.
I'm trying to find Holly without making a big scene. So I'm limping around. I finally go to the training room in Houston, and Holly looks at my knee. They send me back, so I don't even get to see the game. I come back to Indy. So first time I tore my ACL, second time I tore my meniscus, same knee. I had surgery, so now I'm like, okay, well, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know if I felt like I was going to have a chance to come back in that year, but, yeah, after that,
So
shut down.
Tell me this. How was it mentally? Because we share a similar story, the injury. And honestly, that's what the show is about. I mean, that's exactly where my inspiration comes from. A starstruck meaning a star that's struck by tragedy, struck by, things that you have to overcome. Like, talk to someone that actually has an injury and feels, I mean, it's a sense of
Like
depression,
the end of the world.
man. Yeah, it
Like,
is.
you literally, in the moment that it happened, and I remember the first time at Tennessee,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the training room. Jenny Moshak comes in there, and doctor comes in there, and he's doing the y'all know the whole knee thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm good. Tape me up.
Right.
Put some tape on this bad boy. I'm gonna finish. It's my senior year.
Of course.
And he was like, yeah, no, you tore your ACL. We're gonna have to shut you down. And game's still going on. So Jenny has to move, has to go back out, and I'm kind of sitting back there by myself for a moment, and I'm just like, man, how does this happen? But I will say that's when my faith became stronger. And I had faith before. I rededicated my life to Christ my sophomore year at Tennessee. So now fast forward 2 years, and like I feel like I'm strong in my faith. But when you go through a moment like that, it's like the end of the world. And I know for me, most of my injuries, for me personally, have happened when basketball has become my God. When it was something that like I am driven, I'm going like this ball is life. You hear ball is life.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to go through that, and you're sitting in the locker room, and there's nothing you can do. You want to replay and go back and rewind your life
Who
to
you
get back to
telling?
that moment
Oh my
and not
God.
make that play.
Yeah. That's real.
I'm not going to do a jump stop. This time I'm just going to go up off of one leg and come back, and everything's going to be fine. And you can't do that. So I think from a mental standpoint, it was really surrounding myself with the right people.
Yeah.
My sister was playing overseas at the time in Sweden, Taja, and she ended up coming back, living before that, though, my freshman at Tennessee, Tasha and Ashley Robinson, A-Rob, they moved in with me to take care of me. I was in a one-bedroom apartment off campus.
Yeah.
Pat let them come, and so they would help me kind of maneuver and get around on campus, and then Taja came, and they went back to campus. But when you have great people around you,
Yeah.
it makes it not easier, not like you forget what you're going through,
Right.
but it helps you process it
Yeah.
a lot better.
Yes, I agree. Similar to what I experienced as well. Like once it happened, again, just going up for a normal, regular play that you usually make,
Yep.
and all of a sudden you feel a undeniable jerk. Like anybody that tears their ACL, they know that it's something serious. I can't say that it's your ACL torn, but you can feel the magnitude of something is not right. So, again, similar.
And you hope that it's not serious.
Yeah.
Like even when we watch games and you watch players get injured and
Yeah.
you watch how they come down, and it's like my first thing I do is pray.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then the second thing is like, okay, I just hope it's not serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
A sprained ankle, okay, you can deal with a sprained ankle. A broken ankle, a lot different.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with the knee and so many different things that can happen.
It's so many.
Yeah.
So many. Talk about what. So, what did it put on hold for you? Like, what was in the back of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm playing, and all of a sudden I get hurt. I mean, can you remember anything that it just was a major setback for you, obviously, but what made you feel like, oh my God, I was just about to get
We
there?
were about to
or-
win a championship.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Came in undefeated freshman year, 139-0, national champion. So like in my mind, I'm like, all right, every year it's gonna be like this.
Yeah.
And then it didn't happen
Yeah.
sophomore year. It didn't happen junior year. Senior year, we were rocking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went down, and not to say I'm the reason that we didn't. We still made it to the tournament and all of that.
Yeah.
But not having that, like I was a leader for the team.
Right,
I
right.
mean, Ace, Tamika, Tree, and I, we were the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Not having all four of us,
Yeah.
and we all played such different roles on our team with great players, alongside of us. But that was first winning a championship, and then the second part was going to the WNBA.
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened? Would I have gone first? Would I have gone second? I ended up going third off a torn ACL. So,
Which is amazing.
Which
to
is
be
crazy.
Real. Yeah. Yeah.
because Indiana wasn't like a team that was doing really well.
Right.
So most teams, and why you get a top 3 pick is
Yeah.
because you need instant
Instant.
gratification. You
But-
need somebody to come in and ball out. And I remember getting to Indy, and people were like, "Why would you get a bum? Why would you get somebody with a bum knee when you had all these other players
Exactly.
that you could have chosen?"
I remember that.
Yeah.
I do. I remember
So
that.
then I also had a chip on my shoulder because of that.
Of course.
Like, not only do I want to get back,
Mhm.
like I want to get back, and I want to kill
Yeah.
every game.
For sure. For sure. You had to have a great set of eyes to understand that you can select at the number 3 pick
Yeah.
a person that has a tornado. I mean, that's just kudos to
That's
you
crazy.
in your career.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
And Kelly Koskoff,
Yeah,
and
Kelly.
the organization believing in her
Mhm.
to make a decision like that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Got to give a shout out to the Simons because like the team rocky and
Mhm.
the ups and downs, and even for them, like being able to support her and the decision that she made.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever feel, I mean, I know we touched on this, but did you ever feel like you were falling into depression at all?
Um,
And if not, if so, how did you get through whatever it was?
Not honestly. There's so many ups and downs
Mhm.
through the injuries, right? I don't know if, like, my sister was always there.
Mhm.
My mom, like, we are really close as a family. So I think having the strong support, like having their support, and then of
Yeah.
course having you and having Julie and having the team
Mhm.
and having people that were around, like, yes, you get that hollow feeling.
Yeah.
Sometimes that emptiness of,
Mhm.
man, like, what's my purpose of being here?
Yeah.
I can't do anything. All I can do is shout. I was quiet
Mhm.
back then. So, like, my way of communicating was just watch what I do.
Yeah.
Well, you can't watch somebody that's just going through rehab every single day. And some days are good days, some days are bad days. Some days I'm kicking the ball, some days I'm hugging the ball.
Yeah.
You
For
know?
sure.
Like,
You
go
now,
through all of
those are
that.
the things I know. I remember. Absolutely. Yeah. For
The
sure.
good days.
The good days, man.
But I don't think I was in depression. I
Mhm.
think it was more of trying to stay prayed up and really, like, trying, which is how I am now.
Yeah.
I really only want to be around positive people.
Yeah.
And I really, even with young people, I really want to only feed them with positivity.
Mhm.
Because there's enough negative stuff going on in the world,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can fall into that. Oh, well, I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm hurt, and I can't, and I can't, and I can't. And so one thing that I've tried to condition, not only myself, but even the people that I work with and deal with, is how do you get yourself out of that mindset?
Absolutely.
Because you'll fall real fast if you don't.
Mhm. I'm glad you said that because that was the next thing I was going to say. So when you're going through something like that, and we're speaking from experience,
Yeah.
this is just me interviewing you. This is knowing because I tore mines. That's what this platform is for. Like for people that enters that part and that, that part of their injury and their career, and it's not talked about. It's not.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to say, we were injured, we did this, we overcame it, blah, blah, blah. But those dark moments, like I can remember when we played, it was like that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Like if you tore your ACL or blew your knee out, what they talked about, I mean, technology wasn't where it is now. So it was like, man, like you're done.
Yeah.
I can remember being on the front page of the newspaper, like Knox's career is over.
Over. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
And I mean, there's so many different things. You have identity crisis just because you've been that
Person,
athlete, that person,
You that guy.
yeah. You that guy
that
for
guy.
a long time, and now, it's altered. It makes you look at things different. Our entire lives, we've always wanted to become a professional athlete and take care of our families, take care of, whatever it may be, and to be real, financially, making sure that we're financially set. Obviously, we fell in love with the game. So it meant a lot to us, but just being financially set is something that you have dreams and aspirations of doing. And when that's at a halt, you got people depending, got people thinking about you once you get there and how life is going to be. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, because these are all things that people experience but don't really talk about it.
But it's not just injuries.
Yeah.
It's graduating from high school and not having the opportunity to play in college. It's graduating from college after going back to the bottom your freshman year and working yourself up to being in a leadership position and not making the WNBA or the NBA or the Major League Baseball or NWSL. Like, there's so many things that make you feel that.
Yeah.
Where you feel a crisis identity and you feel, okay, now what? Like, God, where am I supposed to go now? Right?
Yes.
Injury is one of those things that's like, okay, well, if you don't rehab right, your career is over.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you're setting yourself up for another, and like we've witnessed people that have, like, I have the two in the same knee, but we've been around people that have had injury after injury after injury and still want to play.
Absolutely.
And still want to come back and go through all of that.
100%.
And it's like, okay, at what point do you also look at the reality of this might not be, and how do you prepare yourself for the next?
How do you prepare yourself for the next is the real
But
question.
it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Because if this is what you are, you just said, if this is our identity, if this is, since third grade I've been playing basketball, organized basketball. So from third grade all the way up to 16 years in the WNBA, that's a long time.
Exactly.
When you hang up those shoes and put them away, it's like, okay,
now what?
what am I doing?
Now what?
Am I coaching? Am I broadcasting? Am I, teaching? Am I going to get a job? Am I going corporate America? I mean, what are you going to do next?
That's so true. And that's what I'm talking about right there, because a lot of people don't understand what to do next. And I always try to tell, former players, like people that used to be my teammates and people that you can catch somebody, no offense, but like working in Kroger's or something, working in a car wash and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like it's very necessary for people to understand that while you're in the sport, you have to communicate, you have to network, you have to make friendship. Cultivate friendships and make sure that people understand the type of individual that you are, because you're a great basketball player, great athlete. But now when real life hits, just being real, we talked about playing since we were in the third grade. Think about how much you know about basketball. Like, basketball is really what you know. Basketball is $1 billion industry, man.
It's crazy.
So with it being $1 billion industry, it's several ways to be involved in basketball without necessarily playing it.
Yep.
But people don't understand that when they're playing basketball. They feel like we're just
behind
gonna
the
play.
scenes.
Absolutely.
So like when you're playing,
Yeah.
and you're that person, you're that guy, you're that woman, like you're seen. The papers are writing about you. Your pictures on the newspaper, your pictures on the internet, social media now, like you get praise.
Yes.
And if that is what you're relying on, and now you go behind the scenes, like even putting on this, there's somebody behind the scenes that's helping. That's not gonna, like, his name's not gonna be on this.
Right.
He's not sitting right here.
Yeah.
He's behind the scenes making sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
When you're coaching, you got Neil's your head coach. Y'all are the assistant coaches, but don't nobody talk about all the hours you spend in the office, cutting tape, doing this, doing that, one-on-one workouts. I mean, so it would be, as somebody that's been in that, hard to make that transition. But one thing I always tell the young people now is, especially when you're in college, you have 4 years ish, right? 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You got years. Lean into your staff. Lean into the school to start figuring out you can still hoop, but we don't hoop 24/7.
Exactly.
You got school. You got to do homework. You can only practice for X amount of hours anyway per week. What else are you interested in?
Right.
You're interested in pet? Go to a shelter. Go, shadow somebody that's in the field that you're getting your degree in.
Of course.
So you can see firsthand, because while you're in it, anybody in your city, you talk about networking,
yes,
anyone in your city would be willing to do something for you.
They will be willing. That's
but
my
as soon
point.
as you graduate,
Yeah.
if you haven't nurtured those relationships, then now you want to, now I'm on to the next. Who's the next player that's on the team that I can network with and build that relationship? You had your time.
Absolutely.
I look at Devereaux Peters here and what she's been able to build.
Oh, my God. Shout out to Dev. She is doing
Big.
something beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
yes.
but without her relationship and the contact, we wouldn't have that.
It would be tough, yeah.
Yep.
So I know one other thing that's very important, even when we talk about the basketball side of it. We're talking about doing other things, but going back to talking to the athletes, it's really important for them to understand that if you have a lot of knowledge in basketball and you've been playing since there's director of basketball operations, there's managers, there's coaches, trainers, it's ways soon to be the GMs. Yes, it's very lucrative when you put your mind and your focus on what can I get out of this situation? And now that I know a lot about it, I want to stay in it. It's several avenues that you can go down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How did you focus to be the best player that you could be from a basketball standpoint? What made you great?
I think consistency, dedication, being a student of the game.
Yeah.
But my schedule every single day was the same.
Yeah.
But I also realized, okay, I need to do my work, but as a team, we're only going to be as good as our last player off the bench. And so really tapping into what I need to do for myself, but then turning around and making sure, okay, you need somebody to rebound, or you want to get some shots up with me, this is what time I'm going to be at the gym, this is what time workouts are. If you're going to be in, be in. But if not, then don't.
Okay, stop real quick, because that's funny, because I was a big part of that, so I know, and I tell people that all the time. But I want you to give us a day in a life. Just give
during basketball.
Yeah. During basketball,
off season.
I'm talking during basketball, and then we'll go off season.
All right,
because this is good information for people that's watching.
So during basketball, I probably get up at 6, be out of the house by 6:30, be at the gym by 6:50, 6:55.
These are not fabricated times.
Yeah.
This is serious.
And then be in the gym by 7:05, and we would work out from 7 to 8. And then if anybody else came in to get some shots, we might shoot around with them for about 30 minutes, come back if you got weights or whatever you got to do, take a shower, and then get ready for practice. Then after practice, you stay, get your shots up. We got to get another round of shots up. And then after that, you got cold tub, hot tub, treatment, anything like that. And then when I got finished, especially while I was pro, because we had the foundation. So when practice was over, then you kind of switch gears and get ready to go sell the foundation and go to marketing meetings, go to, think about what programs we have, where we're going to support. And then, of course, with the Fever, you had different appearances with them. So while I was on the floor, we'd be done probably 2:30. While I was on the floor, you're focused. And then after that, you put the other hat on and figure out what you got to do.
So that's during the season. What about your off season?
Yeah, off season, man. About the same, because I always wanted to be done. We might even go earlier,
Yeah.
because I wanted to be done before people started coming
Yeah.
to the facility. And we had the issue of, I mean, at that point, the Pacers and the Fever, we were all practicing in one facility. So trying to navigate time during the day, we
Yeah.
couldn't do that. So we'd have to come in an hour and a half, 2 hours before. So they normally practice, would hit the floor 8:30. We had to be off the court by 8:30. So our workout would start about 6:37. Yep.
And my major point is the consistency was real.
Yeah.
Like the things that I remember the most was obviously we always had our time on the court, and this was a daily thing every day. But we haven't talked about swimming.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Budokai. Yeah, that's a form
Yeah.
of martial
Martial
arts. Yes. I mean, we're talking from 6 to 7, we're on the floor. 6 to 7:30, we're on the floor. From 7:30 to 8, you know, Budokai is in. Now you're running out with a backpack, you know, sprinting somewhere
And
to
then we go from there, we would go to rehab.
rehab
And then from rehab, so swim class was from 12 to 1.
to 12 to 1. Natatorium.
Yep.
Yes.
Swim class from 12 to 1. I'd be the only one in there with all these older ladies and men. And our instructor, she was just like, whatever they do, you do double. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and that still didn't neglect the evening, because we would probably
back
get together,
get some
and
shots.
get some shots up, shoot.
Yeah.
And then there was several times where we would set up open gyms, walk-ins. We would go up there, and you know, we just would travel. But I just love to give the world, you know, what it really takes to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I read a whole bunch of accolades before we started on.
But you got to have a will. You have to have, and I was talking about this earlier, just about people that I'm drawn to now. They have an inner drive to be great at whatever it is they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody has that. So when you find somebody that has that, you automatically, like I automatically gravitate to that, because it's like they will do whatever it takes to be their best. So even for myself, it wasn't like I got to be better than this person and better. Like I want to be the best Tamika. At the end of the day, when I walked away from the game, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to put everything on the table. So I never felt like, man, if I had done one more year, I would. No, like I knew when it was time, it was time.
Absolutely.
And even now, people are like, oh, do you miss the game? No, because I gave the game everything, and I'm still involved in the game
Still involved.
in a different capacity. But I love the role that I play, because we can have these conversations about what it takes to be great, and we can have pro players, college players, high school players. We can have this conversation, but the reality is, we can have the conversation, but I've done the work. You've done the work. If you want to be where we are or where we've been, you're gonna have to put in, and it's even 10 times harder now.
Yes.
With NIL and transfer portal and, you know, social media. We didn't have distractions like that. We played because we loved the game. Now it's like, I'm transferring because I can get more money here. I'm going to do this. And it's like, what happened to the love?
Right.
What happened to playing? And I'm not saying I wouldn't take the money. I'm not saying that.
Of course.
But
Of course.
what happened to playing for the love of basketball? What happened to really committing to being the best? You go to 4 schools in 4 years. How is that a commitment?
Right.
How are you making a commitment to yourself? Because I know it takes about a half a year to adjust to somebody else's new system.
Absolutely.
And
More
then you
than
gotta
that sometimes.
And then you go on somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you have to go all the way back to ground zero. So it's like, it's hard to watch some of the players that we've had to watch that have been on that trajectory and then just crash.
Yeah.
And like they're trying to figure it out. So when you get those heroic stories like a Haley Van Lith,
Yes.
I'm like, you're cheering for her, because it's like, yes, yes, that's what, like, you have that drive. She has that dog in her.
Absolutely.
You
yes,
know?
she does. She does. And I understand exactly what you're saying, because a lot of times people don't understand that that's the blueprint.
Yeah.
The blueprint is commitment. But everything like you're talking about, the distractions that's of the world and of the basketball world now, it doesn't allow you to put commitment first mentally. it allows you to escape commitment.
Yeah.
Like 100%. So now everybody is chasing the bag. But
Well, and part of it is some of these players, this will be the most money they ever make in their life.
absolutely.
So when you start looking at all the job opportunities
Mhm.
that are around the game of basketball, they might not be making what you have been making.
Right.
And so having to change your mindset to be the best in whatever role you're in at that point. Like, I want to be the best commentator, not compared to any of the other commentators, but the best that I can be
Of course.
for myself.
Yes.
Also knowing I have limitations.
Mhm.
That's my reality.
Yeah.
We all have limitations, and realizing where you are, and I think a lot of that stems from coming out of an injury
Mhm.
and having to work and grind and grind and grind, and it's like, okay, now that you've had a successful career and have been able to do the things you do, now when you transition to something else, you go right back into grind mode
Yes.
and being great and whatever else comes your way.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. That is so true. I mean, you can go so many different angles with that conversation, but it is so true. But like I said, I'm so happy that we, as former athletes and people that have been through it, can sit up and give this type of advice to people, because a lot of times it's like people are just talking. Like, they just think that you don't really understand or know what's going on because we're a little older now. But the reality is, if you can set a schedule and remain consistent in being the greatest player, the best player that you can be,
Yeah.
I mean, that just it feels good to hear from someone that has actually done it. And I love when you express that. You know what I mean? What about some of the players, like some of the great players that you've played with, college, pro, just giving a little bit of history and feel for, a player that you really like and that they brought that to the table? Because I
Yeah.
have several.
Well, I mean, to be an Olympian, you have to have that.
Yes.
So I've had the opportunity to play on 4 Olympic teams and win 4 Olympic gold. And I would say, from a commitment standpoint, when you look down the line, nobody wakes up being great.
Yeah.
So the commitment to being in the gym, the commitment to getting enough rest, eating the right way, doing the right thing, treating your body the right way. I mean, all of that comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think about, like, my heroes
Mm-hmm. That's
were
what I want.
Dawn, Lisa, and Cheryl.
Don Staley.
Dawn Staley, Lisa Leslie, and Cheryl Swoop.
Okay.
96 Olympic team. The first time I watched them with that team, I was like, I want to be an Olympian.
Shout
wanna
out
be
to those ladies.
yeah.
Yes.
I want to be like them. I want to have the opportunity to represent my country and to be able to be on that stage and know, like, everybody in the world is watching us compete
Yeah.
on the biggest stage of our lives, you know. And Dawn really is the one that helped me become who I am from a leadership standpoint. I remember, I don't know if you remember, 2002, I did the World Championship game. 2004, the first Olympic Games.
Yes. Yes. I do remember that.
And watching Dawn navigate Lisa and Cheryl and making sure that everybody got their touches when they needed to get their touches, and like the role of a point guard. But even the way she was able to communicate that, she was able to make it happen because she controlled the ball and controlled the pace of the game. But even more importantly, having those conversations and that communication with each one of us. Now, I was the low man on the totem pole.
Right.
That was my first Olympic Games, and so, I'm watching them and watching her navigate. But I remember coming back here after that, and not like it changed overnight, but up until that point, I really was a player that was more like, just watch what I do. I don't need to say much, just watch. But I started trying to use my voice and trying to figure out how to communicate and how to be that leader. And I'm still there. Like, I'm still working on that.
Of course.
But for that piece of my game, I think that was one of the pieces that was really missing, was how do you step into a leadership role and what does that look like?
Yeah.
She was the first leader on the court that I was able to watch, like, on that level. Because of course I had, KJ and Shamiqua and players in college, but on that level that I had to like, okay, if I want to help our team win, I have to garner some of these skills that she's showing me how to do, but it's like it's hard for me to use my voice.
Yeah.
Because at that point too, like my attitude and like I didn't understand how we're in the WNBA and you don't have that drive to be great and to help this team win. I struggle with that.
I know. Yes, I do. I know. But being around those type of, like you said, Olympians, I mean, it's easy to snap back but the difference is once you leave there and you come back to a WNBA team and everyone doesn't have that drive and that focus, that's different. That's different. And I can remember having long nights talking to you about how,
we're not going to have that conversation.
Right. No, we don't need to. But no, that's, again, that's just something that the greats understand. And they look at every situation as an opportunity to get better. And, I can remember sometimes when we would shoot, I mean, it was legit 10 for 10.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not 9 for 10. Yeah, not 8 for 10.
Yep.
10 for 10. All right, we're going to do this until we get it. We're going to do this till we get it. We're going to do this till we get it. Early in your career, I can remember this vividly. I mean, you had the quickness to use dribble moves and get by people and blah, blah, blah. And I'm talking, year 12, year 13, where you have beat them little knees up a little bit. And
Achilles.
And Achilles. And you wasn't moving as swift as you normally. I said, hey, Catch, we got to get people on your back now. We got to get people on your shoulders. All right, you got to be able to dribble here, spin move, counter. And I can remember you struggling with that at first, just because you didn't really, you didn't have to do it. You never had to do it. But once you picked it up, and you better believe, there's highlights on that. I got a few highlights on that.
But I think working with you and then changing my shot, like working with Doc.
With Doc, yes.
Marvin
Shout
Harvey.
out Doc.
Yeah. Like those two things and really being able to understand the game. Like a lot of players do things just to do things. But they don't understand, like, why am I making this move?
Yeah.
With him and with you, and, we had a couple practice guys that rolled in there. Trey would be in there with us.
That's the biggest part of player development.
Man, and he was dedicated. He would go to work. He was on the night shift and would come straight to the gym. So, like, we were in the gym I think he got off at 6. Would meet us at the gym at 6:30.
Yes.
Just so that we could get our workout in, and then he would go.
Eli Lilly, he was working there. Yeah.
But think about that. Like, he was just as committed to my success, to our success. He was just as committed.
Yeah, he was.
Like, you don't wake up, you don't go all night with no rest and come to a workout knowing you about to get busted up. Yeah, Trey, busted up.
Busted up. Trey was nice, though.
He was nice. He was nice.
Yeah.
Boy, we had so much fun.
We did.
But I'm like, man, to go back, like even thinking about it, like the whole experience, I regret nothing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if I, people always ask, like, if you could go back and change one, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Because I think every single injury, from the knee to the meniscus to the Achilles to fingers to nose to plantar fascia, like to everything that I've had, being able to come through it, I think made me a better player, made me a better student of the game, forced me to have to change because I'm talking about bulldozer. I'm running right over you, 100 miles per hour the first couple of years and get out of my way.
Yes.
To like really having a, Doc would always talk about be like water, like be fluid and be able to move. And when things hit, like you can turn and you can shake off of it, like all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a refreshing feeling as a player,
is.
just evolving into that. Yeah. So I thought you done an excellent job in your later years getting to that spirit. The early years were
okay. It's okay.
phenomenal. But it was athletic, like
Yeah,
you
it
said.
was.
Athletically, I mean, you could handle anyone at any moment athletically. And that's what made us in awe.
Yeah.
Like, wow, she is. But I knew it. I knew the moment that you got under control, just the perimeter part.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, obviously, the transition from a 4 to a 3
And
is
back
the
to a 4.
toughest. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Because if you look at it, the 4 and the 5 run the middle of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
The 2s and 3s run the perimeter, like the wings and the lanes. That's a total different mentality.
Yeah.
Running down the middle of the floor opposed to running the wings.
Mm-hmm.
And you became a student enough to actually like dominate both. And
Well,
it took.
defense came from Pat.
But let me tell you something about defense. Even that. Think about guarding a 4 and
Yeah.
a 5 opposed to guarding a 2 and a 3.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Way
mean?
more athletic, way more moving, running off these screens. What?
You guarding Maya Moore
Yeah.
in the conference finals. You know what I mean?
Man.
So, I mean, that's big time.
Yeah.
That's big time. Talk a little bit about your career. We had so much fun together,
Yeah.
you know. But I want to hear about the integral details of like the championship team. Like the 2012, you know, I got a million stories, I know you do too. But that little small time where it was just we had a good team that could beat anybody at any moment. But
Best
just
defensive
speak
team.
about it. Best defensive team for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Best defense. That team started in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time we went all the way to Game 5. We ended up losing to Phoenix, at Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
We were
Rossi.
up. We were up in the series before we took it back, but they had a three-headed monster that we just could not contain.
It was Cappy,
Taurasi, and Penny.
Taurasi, and Penny. Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then, you know, you throw in Candace was there,
Mm-hmm.
DB was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the young, like, I'm like, man.
With legs, yes.
So I feel like it started there, 2009. So by the time we got to 2012, interestingly enough, we were a great defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I feel we had a lot of meetings. We had a lot of team meetings that year. We were locked into each other.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we made it to the playoff, I remember people like, "Oh, there's no way they're gonna win. There's no way they beat these teams." And first round we're playing, or second round we're playing against Connecticut, and Katie goes down. Remember, Katie goes down game 3.
Yes.
So people are like, "Oh man, they ain't got their best shooter. Like,
Mhm.
hey, they're not gonna win." So they opted to travel us straight from Connecticut to Minnesota. Now we going Meyer, Brunson, Whalen, Schill, like, and then the bench comes in and it's like another starting 5
Yeah.
that
yeah.
comes in behind your starters. You know, so you're looking like
Wow. Yeah.
you got Olympians, 5 Olympians, 4 Olympians on that team. That now we're going, and I'm the lone Olympian per se, but we have good talent
Of course.
without Katie.
Of course.
So now we win game 1, and I just remember before game 1 though, since we got there early, we did a spa day. We had a team meeting that, like, we did dinner, we did a spa day, we had a
Yeah.
team meeting, and I'm like, look, nobody expects us to win anyway.
Yeah.
So all we have to do is go out there and just play. If we play the way we know we can play, we walk away with this championship, and people are like, how did they do that?
It's all good.
All good. Don't matter how we did it. We did it.
That's real.
So then you get to game 1, we win.
Yep.
And I remember people are like, oh, it's a fluke. There's no way they win game 2. So game 2 happened.
Yep.
JP gets hurt. Jeanette Poland. So now we're down. No Katie. No Jeanette Poland. Those
Lights
are our
out
2 best shooters.
Absolutely. Lights out
Lights
shooters.
out shooter.
Yes.
So we don't. And Katie, you know, she has no. She could miss a shot, miss 10 shots, and believe that the next. But like she has that.
That confidence.
Yeah.
Yes, for
so
sure.
we don't have another shooter like that.
that thinks that way, yeah.
But who steps up? Aaron Phillips. Like everybody stepped up just a little bit more. So now we come back home to Indianapolis. win game 3, win game 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember nothing else but throwing the ball up at the end of the game.
Yes.
And like we believed in ourselves, and I think that's something even for young teams, for teams, you're going against the giants, you're going against this person, having that inner core and having those inner conversations
Yeah.
of what you can accomplish as a team, and knowing the only people that matter right now in all of this is the people that are in this locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have family, and sometimes family you gotta just, oh, you should be playing more, oh, you should be doing this. Like you just have to blot out the noise
Absolutely.
and focus on what's happening in the locker room, the practices, the game, traveling, like all of those moments that you have together. That's what made us great.
Yeah.
We spend so much time, and even when we go to the airport, we all be in one section, not one person here, one person, like we were all in one
A
section.
team. Yes.
We moved as a team, we operated as a team. You know, that was back in the day when we had to wear same outfits as a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like all of that.
Yeah. Which means something.
Which means something,
Yeah.
but what's also, like, I know you have my back, and you know I have your back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we played as such.
Yes.
Yeah. To win at that level, we played as such. That's
Man, that's crazy.
Woo.
That year was awesome.
that was a heck of a year, and it had. I don't know. That's why people talk about it so
Yeah.
much when it comes to the Indiana Fever.
Because
obviously.
nobody believed that we would win,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
it's like if you think about it, up until that point, and I don't know what it is now, the only team that had won
Mm-hmm.
were teams that had number 1 draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, like I'm a number 3 draft pick. Nobody else on that team had gone lower than 3
Mm-hmm.
or higher than 3. So you're looking at that. You're looking at all of the people that have come in and out of the locker room. You know, I mean, like any other team, every
Yeah.
year is a different team.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to put that together, like that was amazing.
It represented family.
Yes.
It did. Like it brought everybody close enough to feel like, hey, you're my family.
Yeah.
And that's always something that's I
Man,
don't
Joey
know.
hit that shot.
yeah.
Man,
That-
Breeze hustle plays, like
Yes.
just Larkin, Sutton, I mean,
Oof.
yeah.
That was
That squad, and Aaron, like I said, Aaron stepping in and everybody stepping up
yeah.
to another level.
And you could tell. You could look at them. You could feel it.
Yeah.
They were super focused
We
before
believe.
games, practices.
Yep.
Yeah, it was on. It was on. That family moment. Speak about what family means to Tamika Catchings.
Everything.
I mean, I know even from a basketball standpoint, but everything outside of basketball when it comes to your family. Just speak a
Everything.
little bit. Yeah.
My family is everything.
Yeah.
You know, they're involved in everything I do
Mhm.
as a player, even now. You know, and everything that I have going on, they just have always. And it's not just blood family. Like I consider you family.
Of
I consider
course.
Michelle family, and y'all family is my family, because when you have people that have been through the journey with you,
Mhm.
they become your family.
Absolutely.
They become your people that you're gonna look out for no matter what. You might not talk every day, or you might only talk once a month, or once a quarter, or every couple years. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, like when I call or they call, you're gonna pick up.
Of course.
So even in the basketball world, like my teams were my family,
Mhm.
and we have a group chat from the 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Funny, right before I got in here, text is going off. You know, people making moves, changes going on.
Yeah.
Larkin's birthday. You know, like, there's a lot going on, right?
Right,
But
right.
being able to celebrate, although we're all spread across
Mhm.
the world, because some people are still playing overseas,
Mhm.
to be able to have those connection points, it means a lot.
Yeah. What about your inner circle?
Mhm.
Like when sisters, nephews, mother, father,
Everything.
you know, because they're really my family.
Yeah.
But just the significance and the importance of them. Just speak about it a little
Yeah,
bit.
I'm blessed.
Yeah.
You know, I know I'm blessed to have the family that I have.
Mhm.
My mom and dad got divorced when I was in, 6th grade. And I know there's a lot of people that come from divorced background.
Mhm.
What I've appreciated is neither parent ever bashed the other parent.
Mhm.
So when I was with mom, I was with mom. When I was with dad, I was with dad. Like I never felt I never felt I couldn't be with one or the other. So I think it starts with that. So you build the love of the connection that you have. But then I have an older brother, an older sister, I have two older sisters, an older brother, and then a younger brother. And obviously my mom and dad, my stepmom, my nephews. Now everybody is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
So even the success that I've had, talking to my oldest nephew, DeMarcus, but my brother's oldest, Malik, I was talking to him. He's married, has a little boy now, and we were laughing because he had a Fever shirt on, and he was like, "Oh, people come up to me all the time and like, oh, you got a Fever shirt on? I bet you love the Fever." He was like, "Oh no, I'm OG Fever. Like I'm Fever," and I'm like, "Yeah, we need to find your clips." At 5 years old,
Yeah.
his first Fever game, he was dancing wild on the baseline, like courtside seat, and they put him up on a big screen, so it just made him even go harder.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just funny because he's had those moments.
Oh my God.
And all of them have had those moments when they've been here and they were part of the jersey retirement. They were part of all of that, So like part of the Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
So they get to experience that we're a basketball family, but not everybody's going pro.
Yeah.
And the realization of, okay, like there are other things that you might do or may want to consider doing within the game or without.
Yep. Straight athletes, that Catchings name for sure. And I had the pleasure of being around them all and growing up and watching them and grew up into fine young men. And that's what that was the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Just seeing them and being able to, be with them on a daily and let them experience your journey.
And now watching them,
man. Yes.
like I get to watch them, and people ask, like, "Do you train? Do you do that?" And I'm like, I want a relationship with them. I don't want to be their trainer. I don't want to be their coach. I go to some of their trainings and watch from the sideline, and I might interject here and there, but I want to enjoy them from just being your aunt. So you'll have a good game and you'll have a bad game. I'm not going to be the one sending you a 10-page text on what you did wrong and what you should have done. Like, that's not me.
Right.
I'm going to say, if it's a great team win, great team win. If it's a loss, hey, keep your head up. Get back in the gym, get your work in, and be ready for the next one. Like, there's no need. You got coaches, now the coaching staff is 8 deep, and you got trainers, and you got this person, and you got all these people around. They don't need me to do that. They need me to be, I'm going to love you whether you play basketball or you don't.
Absolutely.
That's my role.
Yeah. And growing up with you, I mean, you could tell that it was going to end up being this way. And that's what's such a pleasure to watch, really, especially with them being, yes. So what's next for Catch? I mean, I know you have a lot going on, which I want to hear about. Like, tell us exactly what you have when it comes to the different, entities. The enterprise. Catch is an enterprise herself, for those who don't know. But
I have
just talk
fun.
a little bit. Yeah.
So I commentate, which we talked about, for ESPN. Love that. Love being around the game. I own Tease Me Cafe, so a local tea shop in Indiana that we have 3 locations. Just launched the new bottle tea line. So I love that. But we hire at our locations, we hire high school students all the way up. So being able to talk to them about life and leadership, and while some of them play sports, majority of them don't. So how do you instill some of those skills that you still learn from being on a team and being involved in a team sport? How do you engage that in a cafe setting? So we do that. I do a lot of speaking, traveling. I'm finishing up school up here at Notre Dame. So
Notre
graduate
Dame.
May 17th.
Masters.
MBA.
MBA.
My executive MBA. So I will be done and moving on from that. And I don't know what's next. I love where I'm at right now because I have the flexibility to go and watch my nephews and watch their games and be a part of their lives and what they have going on. But I'm also passionate about helping young people. And so through Tease Me, I get to do that.
Yeah.
Through speaking, I do a lot of corporate events and, like I speak everywhere about a lot of different topics, and that is fun.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoy, even from speaking, being able to talk to people afterwards. It's like, man, that hit a note.
Yeah.
Like, I need to focus on this, or, you know, I can talk about basketball experiences. I was a general manager for the Indiana Fever for a short amount of time, so being able to talk about that. And even as we talk about young people, and even for older people, as we grow and experience new things, all through college, my goal was to be a general manager. So did college, played pro, retired from pro 2016, did a couple of other jobs in between. I was director of player programs and franchise development, coming off of retirement, and then went into then went into another VP of basketball ops, and then went into GM. So I did that during the bubble, and, you know, a couple years after, it's like, okay, that wasn't for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that wasn't for me, but I'm so thankful that that I worked hard enough and had a lot of great people around me that saw that, hey, you know what, she's destined, like she could be good in this role.
Of course.
But I love the relationship building. I love building up people. Not that you don't do that as a GM. It's just a different role.
Absolutely. Yep, I understand.
So I get to do that with the tea shop.
So I was going to ask you that. How many locations do you have?
We have
with your
3
team?
locations.
3 locations in Indianapolis,
in
Indiana?
Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We have our main location, which is closer to downtown, and then we have one a little bit up north that's close to the Butler University. And then our third location is actually on campus at IU Indianapolis.
Yes.
So you have to come check it out. I went there this morning before I came. Had my tea right there.
I like the one on, is that 21st?
22nd Street.
22nd Street.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I know.
They make my tea perfect. When I
Perfect.
go in
All
there.
of them will make it perfect. You just got to get back to go to all of them.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to check it out for sure. Well, listen, like I said, words can't describe how I feel about you joining our show. Obviously, we'll probably do it 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah, because we didn't see any of the clips that you pulled.
No, we didn't. And it's a reason why. I'll tell you. But, no, the reason why I wanted to have you catch seriously is because what this represents, this platform, is resilience. It represents the focus that it takes when you are struck by something. You know what I mean? And obviously we talk a lot about the athletic world, but eventually we're going to talk to people that, you know, are just everyday citizens. That, I mean, you may be a dad, a mom, and responsible for a household, and, you know, have a serious injury, or, you know, and now you can't provide for your family the way you want to. So it's so many different angles. And again, I just like to be in the space where people are learning something and making sure that they're getting value added to their life when they're listening to them. So I want to continue to bring great people like yourself on. And obviously we're friends. So, you know, this is more of an interview set, but I want to continue to show the people in the world what Tamika Catchings represents and what you do on a daily, and how, you know, it's such a refreshing feeling to be around you, and it always has been.
Thank you.
So
I feel the same. I'm thankful that you had me on.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love what the show represents.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, the next time you come, we will definitely have the clips ready.
We will have the clips ready. He had some all the way back, y'all. They were black and white.
I
But I'm
did.
so glad they didn't get shown.
You know what? I want to show some.
No.
Why?
No, we'll get the next one.
You
Yep.
sure?
We're running out of time. Sorry.
Let's see. Look.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh,
that's
us.
for 2012. No, that's 2015.
2015. That was
Eastern
the Eastern
Conference
Conference
Championship. Yeah.
Yes. Look at Little Catch.
I know you ain't talking. Look at Little Rose.
That was old school. Let's check this one out.
Oh,
Yes, that was picture
yeah.
day. I remember that. We was getting
That
ready.
was on the ball. It said 2013.
Was that 13? That was
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
That was right after we won.
the championship.
Yep.
I had a good video that I wanted to show you.
Yeah, we can do that next time.
Well, I think we should do it this time. Just check it out real quick.
In hoops, the Fever are getting help this season from a man that some might remember from his days as a player at IUPUI. He's Carlos Knox, the leading scorer in Jaguar history, and our Jeremiah Johnson
Tell
has
me,
the
do you
story.
remember some of this?
Opportunity of a lifetime, and I just want to make the best of my situation.
That was 10 years ago when Carlos Knox got his shot with the Pacers.
I always thought I could be that 1%.
But a college knee injury played a role in keeping Carlos out of the NBA.
Now I'm in a different stage of life, different stage of coaching, and I think that I can really, really get there on the coaching level.
Stay on your
So
feet,
while
Catch.
Carlos Knox's playing days are over, he is still heavily involved in the game of basketball, both as a coach
Good job. Way to battle. Way to battle.
and injury rehab specialist.
He was always around. I'm like, hey, Lo, we'll work out at 10 o'clock at night. All right, I'm there.
When Tamika Catchings went down with an Achilles tendon injury last season, Carlos Knox played a major role in her rehabilitation.
Very motivating, very encouraging, very like, all right, Catch, I mean, I know what you're going through, but we got to get over this hump.
And she just is so good at listening and picking up on things.
There you go, Cats.
Now Knox is working with Catchings
Good job, Cats.
and the entire Fever team as a volunteer assistant coach.
I think he really loves the game. He wants to be around the game.
Is kind of a player's kind of coach, and we really appreciate the time and the effort that he puts forth with us.
Putting in the time that will no doubt pay off in the future.
Timing is everything, and sometimes, you have to sacrifice. Sometimes you have to do different things, to put your career in a different position.
Jeremiah Johnson, Fox 9 Sports.
JJ.
That's hot. Dang, old school.
I know, old school. But I love you. I respect you. I'm so happy that you came on.
you.
All right?
And ditto. I got you.
You know it. 100%.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. More than welcome.
A Starstruck
A
podcast.
Starstruck podcast.
I'm a warrior. Anything you place in front of me, I'll be victorious. Straight up out the trenches where it's vicious, but it's glorious.
Well, let me start with this, and because I want hers to be a little longer than mine's, but me, I just think back
Is
to
this
the
part
times.
of the show, or are you adding this in, or you just asking?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna add it in.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah. This part.
So you need to ask the question so that people know what you're answering.
Okay. So the question is, what is my opinion on the state of college athletics right now? One of the things that stands out to me is I can remember vividly when we were in college how it was such a grind or a violation to get a cheeseburger or a ride to the dorm from our coach. Like, it was so strict, and we were not allowed to get anything of monetary value. No extra benefits, none of that. We were just athletes that participated in our sport, and I guess the scholarship was our reward. So now to see athletes getting paid, first of all, it's refreshing. It is. Obviously, it's in a different state where, some regulations need to come down, in my opinion, contractually, just from a commitment standpoint. I don't have any direct feeling towards, who's doing what. My main concern is setting kids up for the future and making sure that they are in the right place mentally to handle that type of monetary value. So for me, that stands out. Like, just being that athlete back in the day like that, and now to see where it has evolved is something special. It is.
Yeah, and I think kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, how do you set them up for success? I said it a little bit before, just if you get all of this, and some of these players are going to make more now than they'll ever make in their life. So how do you set them up to take care of themselves post-basketball? How do you set themselves up to be prepared for whatever comes next? It is interesting, everything you said. Like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, everything was so strict. Now it's like, you got, whatever. Like, it is, I do agree to the pain. What is interesting right now and I can speak a little bit more freely because I'm I'm in a different role than you are.
Of course.
But the transfer portal right now, my concern, there's like 1,300, and this is on the women's side, 1,300 young women that are in the transfer portal. There's not 1,300 openings.
Not even
so
close.
Where are these players that don't get picked up? What happened to nobody talks? Maybe that's the story for a start. Like, who's the player that didn't get picked up? What are they doing now? Are they playing? Have they moved on? Did they finish school? Like, what is the repercussion that the transfer portal has opened up? I believe in the NIL, and to a certain extent, I believe in the transfer portal. But my coach yelled at me wrong. I didn't like this. There's so many things that some of these young people don't even know why they're transferring. They're just transferring.
Of course.
I don't agree with that.
Right.
So every year now, and I don't mind because my job is to cover the player, to cover the game. So I don't mind every year, like my game board, where early on I used to pick up and I could watch a player grow, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Man, last year they couldn't do this. What did y'all work on player development in the off season for her to be ready for this season? We can't even have those conversations because they're not there.
They're not there.
They've moved on, and not only moved on to different conferences, and moved on to different divisions.
A whole different,
it's totally different.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think the state of the game, we're growing, and obviously all eyes on women's sports. You're seeing it, Caitlin and Angel and Camila, all that they did. I really think that everything started sparking when Arike hit those shots.
Yeah.
And then it's like Arike hit those shots, and we go into the bubble. We go in, and then it's just kind of like you saw the snowball getting bigger and bigger from the basketball side. Now, we're here, and I don't know what the next 10 years look like, let alone the next 5 years, with all of the money that's being pushed around, with the transfer portal opening up doors. I listened to a conversation you said earlier, contract, but I don't think you meant it in this sense. But somebody was talking about, what about putting players on contract instead of now? You can make them contracted players, 3 years with the op year 4, or 2 years with the op year 3, where buyouts happen and all that.
Yeah.
We used to play just to play. We loved it. We were okay with the rules. Things have to change and have to evolve. Totally understand, and I'm not bashing anybody.
Of course.
But at some point, I'm like, are we helping the game? Because we only hear about the people that are making the millions and the 500Ks, but majority of these players aren't making that.
Absolutely.
So we talking about the high-end players on the NILs and the high-end players that are making the transfer portal, but I'm looking at the portal, I'm like, there's players from schools that I've never even heard of that are in the portal. Where are you going? And how does that help you for your future? Because when you get finished playing basketball, which will happen, you can't just go from job to job. Because if I'm looking at your resume and you've had 4 jobs in the last year, why would you come and stay here?
It's questions going to be asked.
You just left 4 jobs. Well, why did you leave? Oh, I didn't like this. Okay, well, why did you leave? Oh, I didn't like that. Okay, well, why did you? Oh, I didn't. You're not going to like everything in life. And your opportunities are going to become limited because you have sometimes we have issues with being able to commit.
That's 100% accurate.
Stay committed. Loyalty, I couldn't imagine leaving Tennessee, but I also realized we're in totally different time. But I know I wouldn't be the player that I am, and I wouldn't be the person that I am. Forget about the basketball side. But the person that I am and the things, Pat was always we're going to be great in the classroom, we're going to be great on the basketball court, we're going to be great in the community. But at the end of the day, the most important part of it is we're going to be great people.
Yes.
She lived it. We watched it for 4 years. still watched it even beyond when I got pro or going back consistently every single day, the same person teaching the same principle, whether to the people that came before me, the people that were with me, and the people that came after me. And I'm going to stop my rant.
That's good. That's good. I think it's very well said, very well stated, and it needs to be. It needs to be talked about at a high level, for sure.